Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the third, if I can do it right, episode of The Divine Mess. And today it is my very distinct pleasure to introduce my gorgeous friend, Dava, or affectionately at the moment known as KD. We're trying out new nicknames for each other, so it's always a little bit of fun, but it is actually Kirtideva Peruman, and it is a pleasure to have him here. He is the owner of the Hero's Mystic, and we are going to dive a little bit deeper and find out a bit more about my delightful friend as the episode goes on today. So good morning, Dava.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Just funny, about your introduction, because behind the scene there's a lot going on. So for listeners, if you find us laughing about it, just know that maybe in the future we'll consider putting some bloopers.
Yes, there is a very long text chain that goes. Maybe we should release some of that sometimes as some of our text chains or our memes that we send one another when we're both experiencing the divine mess of our lives, and or the days of our lives, if we would like to call it that. So how are you traveling today, my friend? What's sitting and percolating with you today?
That's a deep question to start with, but that's okay. But it has been an interesting journey for me, I would say, just navigating through that divine mess, we affectionately call it, and lovingly say the divine mess. Honestly, there's been up and down, and that's why we are here. For people joining us for the first time, third time listening, thank you to all of us, to all of you for listening. But today is I'm really happy actually to be here with you to share. I look forward to every recording that we have because we have so much fun, and it's good reminders. Every time it's good reminders. Oh yeah, that's something I can try, I can do, I should be doing. And we always have laugh. There's a lot. It's like a emotional roller coaster with you. It's like we just go on that ride up and down, but we always end up in a positive place. And that's what I like. So even if I'm going through a tough time, I know if I ring you, I will have a laugh, we'll find a solution out of the blue, it just landed on us.
Divinely pops into the head, but we hope to leave each other better than when we started the conversations, because there has been moments for both of us, I think, where we've gone, that's it, I can't cope, I can't do this anymore, I'm over life, I've had enough. And we end up going through a complete Netflix reel of romance, comedy, drama, light entertainment. We go through the whole gamut of historical fiction, you name it, it all comes out, so that we both end up feeling, that we can deal with what life is currently presenting us with and do it with a different perspective. I think that's the biggest thing that we both come out of it, that I give a woman's perspective, I give a parent's perspective, I give a businesswoman's perspective, just a completely different look at stuff, and you do exactly the same for me. So speaking of perspectives, I know that when we were talking about starting the Divine Mess, that we actually don't know each other supremely well on a human level. We know each other so well on a soulful level in terms of, I don't know whether any of our listeners or people that are possibly tuning in and watching our beautiful expressions this morning, in knowing one another in that, oh, I know you.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost that instant recognition when you meet somebody, and I'm sure a lot of you have already experienced that, or if you haven't, when you do, you'll get that. It's literally like all the gates are falling into place and everything, like, oh, yay, I found you again, sensational. But yeah, like in terms of the human understanding, I've got a really, let's say, ground level knowledge of your human. So tell me a little bit about where you come from, because obviously your delightful accent is a little bit of a melting pot of a couple of different things. And maybe one highlight from your childhood. What's one thing that stands out as, I suppose, the best moment of your childhood?
Yeah, and that's a good way to put it. That's a good summary, I would say, that you did about how we met. We will remain grateful to Wendy Corner, who introduced the both of us for her program. And by the way, you can check her, Wendy Corner, please do.
Yes.
And so regarding where I come from, I was born on an island called Mauritius, and I'm probably sure that most of you who are listening might not know where it is. So just if you Google it, you will see beautiful white sandy beaches, and that's what we are known for our tourism industry, for beautiful landscape. It's a small island off the southeast coast of Madagascar, not the movie. But we do speak French, so some people say I have a little bit of French accent as well. And we do speak a lot of language. We celebrate a lot of festivals because we are a multicultural country. And I'm really happy that I come from this country, which initially I was not. You know, I was not saying out loud, I was not proud to come from there, but it's like I wanted to run away. And now I'm living in New Zealand, which is another island. But coming back to the best like childhood moment, I would say the one that really stand out is like playing on the street, playing football. So anyone listening, like you might call it soccer, or we call it football. Yeah, it's football.
It's the round white ball with the black dots all over it. Yeah.
It's keep changing now, but that's what I grew up playing, and that's where I found my friends. I would say my childhood friends. Like every single day in the afternoon, I will go on the street, even playing barefooted as well, which was not recommended, but we did. And when I grew up like playing even FIFA, you know, like on the computer, on the PC game, it was just football. And I think that's what taught me about friendship or teamwork and how to support each other. But I always come from a family that we are always helping each other, like helping others. It's natural for us, like for my family, and I think
What
most
to be of service to others, is that something that was really highlighted?
Yeah, that's like to be in service, to always care for others, to care for oneself. That's a different story. But
yes, I was going to ask that one, but I'll
yeah, but we are always taught like to be there for someone else, like to helping your neighbor, or it's so natural for us to do that, like from my perspective and my parents, my culture as well. That's what we grew up doing. But that's why I said, like, when I wanted in a way to run away from Mauritius, all these culture, it was like because I was just trying to find myself. And I think like it's just uncovering layer by layer. When you think like that's the point, like I know myself really well, it's like, oh yeah, there's some something else to discover, and it's like universe
Start again.
smash it in your face and just say hello. Yeah, there's one
Wakey, wakey.
unhealed part of yourself, and that's where you start to realize that there's more to you, there's more to your potential. And that's what I aim to help people to discover, that there's more to them than they are actually seeing. You know, like we talk about changing the glasses, all of that, and glasses, and that's it. Like, keep changing the glasses. Sometimes it just like wiping off the
dirty lenses.
Sometimes it involves completely changing the whole frame of the glasses, and that's what it takes. But for me, I'm really happy, like, to know that I come from an island where we celebrate diversity. Like, we honor every single festival. We are known to have, well, when I came to New Zealand, I didn't realize that Mauritius has so many public holidays. But it's just to celebrate every single culture. And when I came here, that's when I realized how important it is to respect diversity and honor every single belief that we have, that other people have as well. It doesn't mean that if you're from one culture, you're right, because I still remember that quote. I think it come from one prophet that says, like, we have different lamps, but just one light. And I still believe
that's
that. And,
nice. I like that.
And I think it come from, that's how I see Mauritius. Like, we have different lamps. Everyone has different lamp to pray, to believe in something, even if you don't have a God or source or whatever you name it, you know. But you do believe in something, and that's how I see it. Like, we have different lamps, but just one light. And yeah, so for me, the childhood moment as well. I know I'm going back and forth, but
no, you're good.
It's just going through. The childhood moments as well. There have been tough moments as well. And I think, like, I talk about it in my book as well, which is called Inspired Creators. Like, last year I became an international bestseller as well.
Bravo, my friend. Well done.
Just like you, Tina.
Yes, we can both tick that box at the moment. So it's a amazing experience. If anybody gets the opportunity to do it, it is 1,000% worth the ups, the downs, the ins and outs of writing a portion of your story and sharing it with the world. And it was an incredibly brave moment for yourself, in terms of revealing things about yourself that you'd never told another soul, in how you felt about yourself in that sort of preteen, teenage phase, in like, what the hell am I doing here? What is my purpose? You know, and I think it's an eternal question for a lot of people, is like, why am I here? And what do I do with all of these skills that I've acquired over a period of time? Like, have you kind of put a finger on what that is yet?
Like, what is my purpose in terms of that? That's interesting you asked that. Like a few days ago, I think I was listening to, like Zen or Buddhism stories, and on YouTube there's plenty of them, like 4 minutes or 5 minutes. And there's one story where the guy say, like, there was, I think don't quote me on that, but it's just from what I remember, is like, there's a prince, like, going from monks to monks and asking, what is my purpose? Like, what is the purpose of life? And he kept going. It's like he was going from mountain to mountain and mountain, and he couldn't find it, and until he met one old man just sitting in front of his farm, watching over his farm, over his animal. But he had that contentment and peace So the prince approached him and say, so what is the purpose of life? And he just replied, it's to live it. And I was like,
Wow.
that's totally blew my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you have asked me that question a few days prior to that, I would have told you like my life, my purpose is to empower the divine masculine, like elevate the divine masculine, which is part of my mission as well.
I think there's a difference, right? Isn't
Yeah.
there, between what's my purpose and what's my mission and vision statement for my life, and that's an interesting process. If any of you have not done it yet, is to sit down and work all of those sorts of things. But it's I would think, to live your life, to experience all of the divine mess, the highs, the lows, and the in-betweens, and to garner information as you're kind of going along, and it's just giving little course corrections, isn't it? Every time we get these little drops of information, it's just going, oh, okay, I need to steer a little bit this way, or I need to steer a little bit this way, or I need to clean my glasses and have a good look at what I'm actually doing. But I do love that. Yeah.
And for me, I just added to it, like, in a way, because I was reading the Super Attractor by Gabrielle Bernstein, which is I would consider my first online spiritual mentor that I followed. Her first book, The Universe Has Your Back, is like my Bible in a way that I always go back. And in Super Attractor is like, it's saying having fun and experience joy. So for me, it's like the purpose has become now to live life with joy and fun. That's how I put it now. And just adding up to that,
I know, but I mean, how many times have you asked a person? I know I've encountered it in, dealing with clients and just people that I meet through business and networking and those sorts of things. When you ask them what they do for fun in their business or in their life, or, when was the last time you experienced joy? And just that blank, no expression, you're not seeing their eyes come alive. You're not seeing a big smile on their face. You're not seeing anything. And I know that's how you choose to live, and that's how I choose to live, even when it's messy, is finding the fun in it and finding the joy in the simplest things, like a really great cup of tea in your favorite coffee mug, or to be able to go outside and it pouring with rain and just open your mouth and getting drowned and getting a drink from the universe, just the simplest things. But I think we've over-adulted ourselves and forgotten the child within still needs nurturing on a daily.
Yeah, it's a daily reminder. And I think for me, it's like minute by minute. I started asking myself, am I having fun? Am I being in a joyful, like, in my joy? Enjoying life in a way, or doing something that make me happy. And I know, like, when the bills are coming, like most people, even I would like, oh no, nothing. Not that. And I used to go into that state until I was reading the Super Attractor again, and then I said, no, I need to ask myself, like, what can I do to make myself happy by being in service to others? Because this is related to my missions as well, that I feel that my purpose now has become that, to live life with joy and fun, because fun has been really a big part in my childhood, and that's what got me through. Because every of my childhood friend in school, like primary school, we had a 10-year or 12 years reunion, like we met again. And everyone remembered me for always laughing and having fun and always being kind of the joke in a way, but pranks or something like that.
We are the kids on the back seat of the bus, everybody.
Yeah.
So just for a visual, we are the ones up the back,
Yeah.
being the loudest, laughing the loudest, having the most fun. And we want to go and hang out with those people, you know. And trust me, I think there have been moments where neither of us have felt that we wanted to shine our light, as David was talking about before, that we very much closeted ourselves and hid away from, and I think that's what we recognized in one another, wasn't it? It was just like, come on, bring that light to the surface. And I think that was a comment that you'd made on a podcast I listened to about it's not the darkness that we fear within ourselves, it's our light. And I distinctly remember driving along in my truck and listening to that and bursting into tears, like going, and pardon my French, everybody, but I was just going, oh, you mother. When I was driving along going, how can you have an impact on me and you're 4,000 kilometers plus away and I'm listening to your voice on the radio? You know, it was one of those very impactful moments for me where I went, you know, kid, you're done hiding. It's time to start playing with the big leagues and pull on your big girl panties and come out and have a play. But I wanted to go back to that part where you were talking about being of service to others and maybe the distinct lack of service to self, in that, you know, maybe your self-care stuff wasn't as good as it is now, because obviously now you have a greater sense of awareness. But I think for people listening, what does that lack of self-care, or what did it look like for you?
I think that's the difference in how you feel and how you bring joy or fun. It can be any word. Like, it's not just because I say joy and fun, it should be your word. Like, you should think any word that relate to you, that you remembered as a child. But for me, I didn't realize about self-care until I think I came to New Zealand, which was in 2019 or something. So it's not far away, like it's 4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And I think like when I was in Mauritius, like we were told like to look for others first. And for me, I never thought of me like 1 second. Like if I felt bad, I will just say, okay, let's move on. Like, how can you make the other person feel better? Like I remember that, especially in teenage years, like, because I think at primary, you just don't care about the world in a way, what they think of you. You're just having fun, like you just enjoy life, you make the most of it. But I think when I moved into teenage years, when I was getting bullied, all of that about my skin color, how my teeth look, how the way I look, how my hair look, and I think you become more conscious about it. And I used to go to in Mauritius, we call that like mixed school, like, which means like boys and girls go together. And so that's, and you become more conscious with girls around. For me, like I was like, and when you see like popular kids getting like all the girls, it seems like in the movie in the US, you know, like those American movies where you see that popular kid getting all the attention and you seem like the nerdy one. But I was on the field all the time. And I keep telling my mom stories now. She's learning about stories, what I did in teenage years, and she's being shocked about that.
as us mothers are, because we think we know it all, but really, no.
No, you don't. But I think at that time I didn't have any self-care. Like it was always my friends before me, my family before me. Not even my family. I think at that age it was my friends. Like they are the world. Like they mean the world. So if they tell me to come at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. to their place, I will just go. Like not even thinking twice. If I'm tired, if I don't want to go. And then when I started to say no, I think when I started my psychology journey in 2010, I think, yeah, 2010.
Yeah.
And and then I started to learn about self-care, and I was like, I didn't even consider it. I was like, no, that's a bit selfish, like to think about. That's what I told myself at that time. But as a psych student, like I said, psychology student, you must like work on yourself. You must discover yourself. Still, I didn't care about me that way. I wouldn't like take time for me in the morning. I would just go straight. Because at that time I was playing football in the morning, so it was like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. We went on the field. Don't worry, it's still warm in Mauritius, so we don't worry about the temperature. It's not even cold. They say 20 degrees is cold, so it's not even close. Yeah. But I remember, like, if my friend will call me with any issue, I will just go and help them. Like if they need, I don't know, money or they need a lift. And I was like the Lyft or Uber driver at that time for everyone. And everyone knew I was on time. And that's
you should have started charging. You could have started Uber in Mauritius, mate.
I should have, but that's I didn't even think about that back then. And then when life happened and I came to New Zealand, for the first time ever, I was on my own. And that was after nearly 30 years of my life. And for the first time, I was on my own. So I had to learn to budget. I had to learn how to take care of myself, which was like, oh, that's not easy at first, but I felt really comfortable in New Zealand. And I think that helped, that energy, that vibe that I got from the country, and that openness. And in a way, people don't see you, or like in Mauritius, I feel like in Mauritius, everyone knows everyone. That's the feeling I got.
Yeah.
Like, that's because we're a small country, but it doesn't mean that everyone knows everyone, but it's just the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt more judged in Mauritius, but what I didn't realize, I was judging myself more in Mauritius. So it was my perception.
Interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's not the others, because if I take the same kind of attitude character that I built here now and go back, I wouldn't feel the same, because I know my boundaries and I know how clear I am about how I feel, so I can easily say no if I don't want to go somewhere. But back then I didn't know how to say no. That's part of self-care as well, learning to say no, learning to, when you don't want to do something for someone else, like you don't feel like, and your gut feeling is shouting or crying out loud, don't do it, but you still do it, and then you felt bad, but you ignore that feeling. That's not self-care.
No, but I think also for people to understand that no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
You do not have to justify yourself. You do not have to give a reason as to why you don't want to do it or why you're unable to do it. It's just, no, I'm sorry, I can't help you facilitate that today.
Yeah.
And, there doesn't have to be like, I'm sitting in my pajamas with my fluffy slippers on, with a nice cup of tea or a glass of red or whatever excites you, and going, I'm just taking some time for me. You don't have to give them any explanation whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting, I think, for you to go back and to gauge people's perception of you now, with you having those very clear and present boundaries than what you had previously. I think that would be an interesting exercise as to what type of reaction.
Oh, I can already imagine it, because I get it from my social media, like when I'm not so involved, like people don't see me commenting or posting every day, because I don't post like my everyday. If I'm going to the park, for example, that's, I used to, but
I'm here.
But I do post like quotes that I feel that will help someone, that will teach someone something, will help you for the day.
Yeah.
And I think like when the major shift that happened when I sat with myself in my first year, I think it was after 3 months, because the first 3 months I started uni at that time. I was working part-time, and then it just hit you like your parents are not here, and it was a special event happening, a special festival that I missed. It's like because I'm from I have a Tamil, I'm Tamil, so which means my ancestors are from South India, and so we celebrate our New Year in April. So when I came in February, and then 2 months after, it was 2 months. So it was on the 14th of April, and I sat and I realized, like, I'm not celebrating with my parents or family. And that hit you like, so you look around and there's no one. Even I went to the temple because we had an Indian temple. So it's not the same. It's a North Indian temple compared to South Indian temple. And there's a difference, and you see different people, even if they are wishing you like Happy New Year in your language, and you're like, yeah, not the same feeling. And you're like, that's when you start feeling, at that time I felt alone, but then I learned to be on my own. And that's the difference. When I sat with myself and say, okay, what can I do to make myself happy? Like, it's the first time you're taking care of you. And that's when I started to go running, for example. I started back to the gym, and I started to go for networking events. And in uni at that time, since I was international student, we had international, it's like for you to get to know New Zealand. So we had different events where you go in groups with other internationals, like to go for a 8-hour hike, and you just go for that, and you stay with the whole group, you learn different language, and everyone feel the same, because some of them are homesick. Like from day one, they are homesick. I was not, which was different. But like they were, for me, I always miss like my family and my dog, Lucky, of course. And yeah, and I always miss that. It's not Mauritius, I miss like the beach, all those connections that I had like some places. But overall, I was content, like, and peaceful with what I left. And that's what I realized in the first year. But what I'm saying, like, it took some months to realize that. It's not like a one day on the 14th of April that happened, that I had that light bulb moment and say, oh yeah, I'm content now. No, it's a daily one, because you go, like, one day you wake up like you're feeling down, the next day you wake up, you're fully energized, like you need to do you want to go out, you want to go for a run,
there's the need for that movement and motion. But I think it's really interesting you've given yourself time and space to have that journey of self-discovery, where I think a lot of people, from my generation, it was going on a Kentucky tour and, like going and, backpacking through Europe. And unfortunately for me, I didn't get to have that experience. And you gave yourself that time of self-discovery.
Yeah.
Mine came through life events. Like I didn't get that. I've disconnected from my parents. I'm living somewhere. I'm doing those sorts of things by myself. And, you seem to be the type of person that is very comfortable with their own company. And that, I think that in itself is a skill that I believe everybody should have some, some sort of sense of idea of what that, to be comfortable in the silence, no TV on, no music playing, no, know nothing, just to be. And that for me took quite some time, but I would say for you, having that noise cut off from being with family and friends and people that were always wanting to constantly, I've just had this vision of you being like this electrical board, where everybody's chucking their cords into you, and plugging in for a little bit of that Deva power and that, that experience and that, energized, joyful, constantly on thing, because people aren't looking within themselves to find that, where, a good portion of the population, I think, are constantly looking to external sources to find that power, that they're plugging into other people or experiences. They're not doing that journey inward to find their own power. And, from the conversations we've had, you removing yourself from everybody plugging into you and having that time in New Zealand, that you've had that opportunity to go inward and to find your own source of power and contentment and peace and harmony without all the external stuff going on. Do you think that would be a fair comment?
That's a fair summary. Like, that's a really good, because you nail on the main point. I would say, like, that electrical board, like everyone plugging, because that's how I felt. And you nailed it, because I can visualize myself being like that. And it's like I'm constantly my battery is getting low, like it's showing it's low. It's like danger, like it's danger, it's going to turn off.
Beep, beep.
But it's like, no, it's like you say, it's fine. Exactly. It's fine. No, you can help that person one time. Like you can. But now I struggle to say, no, I can't help you today. And that's one of my challenges, like over the past few years, was to learn to say no. And I'm still learning, like, to say no, I can't help you today. And because I feel like, bad, like I didn't help that person. And it's like not me in a way, but I learned to set clear boundaries. If I'm not available at that time, I'm not. And that's okay.
And I think it's interesting too, once you kind of get to know a person and know their boundaries, it's really interesting, like the connection that you and I have. Before I send a message, I will kind of tune in and go, does he have time and space for this today? And just dependent on the feeling that I get, then I either send it or I don't. So it's an interesting thing once you start to develop those sorts of friendships with people. And this is talking on friendship on a completely different level, that we're not
that's spiritual.
Have those sorts of friendships where you constantly feel like people are verbally vomiting all over you. Like every time you meet them, they're full of constant complaints and this and that and all the rest of it, and they're seeing you like the toxic waste dump where they can just go and dump all their rubbish on you, not thinking to then turn around and go, are you okay? How's your life going?
And that's an interesting question. You were going to say.
Oh no, I'm just, when you ask somebody, and I asked a friend the other day, and I think we've had these conversations too, is that you write, how are you? And then normally my next word underneath is really, with lots of question marks after. Like, I don't want to hear the, oh yeah, I'm fine, I'm this, I'm that. No, I want to know. Like, I wouldn't be asking those types of questions if I didn't want to know. Like, if I didn't have the time, the space, and the energy to take all of those things on in the moment. And I think we need to be mindful, and the people that are listening in need to be mindful of being able to check in with themselves and going, do I have the time and the effort and the energy to tap into these sorts of friendships? Or perhaps are there some friendships that maybe if I stopped putting my time and effort and energy into, would the other person maintain it to the same level at which I do?
Yeah. And I think with time, when you start to discover yourself, about yourself, what you like or what you're looking for in friendship or in relationship or within the relationship within yourself, some friendship will just fall off. Like it just get cut off automatically without you noticing and without you knowing. But you have to be grateful for them that they were here beforehand for you to go to that level, to that new level of growth. And the universe will constantly bring you new people, or maybe bring some people from the past, and just to test, are you ready yet to move to the next level or not?
What do they say? Season, reason, or a lifetime?
Yeah.
You know, that it's that constant. You've got to make sure that the same lesson isn't showing up in a different set of pants.
Yeah.
Whether that be friendships, romantic relationships, business, family even. You know, we do need to, I think, apply the same rules across the board, irrespective of the type of relationship. And sometimes we need to cut family members off.
Yeah.
Just give them a very wide berth and love them from a distance rather than being heavily involved. We can choose to have a smattering of involvement, but that's about it.
I think it's right. I forgot where I read that if you feel that your family members, because some family members, it's like you can't cut them off, but it's like you can limit your time.
Yes.
You can say, okay, I am available from this time to this time, like for half an hour or for quarter an hour. It depends on you, for 1 hour if you want to catch up over coffee or somewhere else, but I can't go beyond that. And that's where you need to be clear about your boundaries. And ask yourself, what's my intention into meeting that person or calling that person? Is there a purpose behind that? Or is it like just for you to feel good and to check in if they are feeling okay? Because sometimes you go back into that mindset, oh, I want to help again. Like you go back to that because you feel like, if it's a family member or a friend that you were close in the past, you feel like, oh, how are they now? Like, even if you have, and that's your test. Like, are you really? Like, the universe will tell you, really?
Yeah, but I think if the words have to or should come out of your mouth, then you know it's a no-go. Like, oh, I have to catch up with mum, or oh, I should really catch up with my sister, or, you know, whoever it happens to be. I think if those two words come out of your mouth, then you know, in your brain, then at least you need to reconsider the motives for making that connection. You know, is that connection going to uplift you, help you, inspire you, make you leave that situation feeling really good about yourself and pumped up and ready to take on the next thing? Or are you going to walk out of there like, you know, like a soggy dish rag, you know, on the edge of the sink, kind of feeling really wrung out and exhausted? Because then if you're going to feel in that respect, then maybe it's, you know, limiting it to a quick 5-minute check-in, or maybe a text message or something, so they're still feeling like you're maintaining contact, but you're doing it within a way that doesn't leave you feeling like that power board where everybody's just plugging in.
Well, you don't feel drained. And that's part of self-care, because sometimes people say self-care is like just thinking about me, but it's not that. It's like thinking how you really feel in that moment, and how is that making you feel, like that person, whatever they say. And it starts with like looking for me, it started with like going out to the gym. That was my first step, like just the physical stuff first, and then moving on to the spiritual one, going inside, because at that time I didn't have that awareness I should go inside and shift things, then the outside will change.
Yes.
People, we still look on the outside, and that's why we tend to go back to those people in a way as well and say, oh yeah, I'm just checking in. But sometimes you have to remember those people don't even check in with you. Like they don't even, if you recall any conversation with people that now people who are listening, just go back to your friendship or relationship and just ask yourself if that person really cares, and come from a genuine place asking you, how are you?
Yeah.
Or is it like just for them to have a door to get in and just say whatever they want to say to you and just leave?
Yeah.
And you have to say, yeah.
Just for those that are thinking about that journey inwards, what are maybe 3 things that, you know, that are dipping the toe in the water type experiment? You know, I would say that there's a majority of people on here who are on their journey, but for those that maybe are being introduced to the process of that inner reflection or that inner journey, or starting to peel back their onion layers, what would you suggest as a way of the getting started, or the how-to guide of discovering your own spiritual essence or your own spiritual journey? Where did you start?
I would say, like, first of all, find a mentor in a way, like, or a guru, not guru, like a mentor or online someone you look up to.
Yeah.
Because,
so like a Gabby Bernstein, or maybe a Tony Robbins, or maybe Mel Robbins, or someone, Oprah Winfrey, if that, you know, kind of thing excites you.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And just look at them first, because if that's your aim, where you want to be, like look up at what they did, or what they have achieved. Sorry, and how did they get through that?
Yeah.
But I would highly recommend someone to guide you on that journey, because having someone who already went through the journey, even if they had different challenges, I would highly recommend, like, look up for a coach, or if you have like if you feel there are mental health problems, please go for a counselor or a trained psychologist or psychiatrist if you feel so. But I would say, like, look up for those type of people to help you out, because sometimes when you feel lost, you don't know where to go, what to do.
Yeah.
And lastly, what I would say, like, if those two doesn't work, you still don't know where to find them or who are those people, just take a piece of paper and just write down what I don't want in my life right now.
Yeah.
And just list everything.
It was interesting. I think Mel Robbins did the same thing, but hers was a little bit more graphic. And she said she had 2 columns. And on the first column, she said, shit I don't like anymore.
Yeah.
And stuff I still want to do, you know. So it's that, what weighs me down, you know, even if you don't come up with a solution, it's at least acknowledging that, you know, this particular relationship drives me mental, or, you know, I can't find fun and joy. I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
At least acknowledging it, I think, is a massive step forward in going, okay, well, right. You know, Google is a great place to start. I know sometimes it's we don't want to Dr. Google ourselves, but at the same time, if I'm having a hard time with a relationship, what can I do? You know, because there's, like David said, there's plenty of, you know, people out there who are willing to give some sort of advice. Or, do you know what? For me, it was meditation. You know, I was a busy mum with little boys and thought there is no way in God's green earth I can sit still. And I started with 5-minute guided meditations. And it was just enough to give me that space to get started. So, you know, and we're always here to answer, you know, DMs if people have got questions, they want to know more, that we can sort of, you know, maybe point you in the right direction as to how to get started, or to act as a sounding board, because that's in essence what we're here to be, is to offer our own version of wisdom that we've both garnered over the time that we've been in our present human suits, and, you know, to perhaps create a community where we have, you know, a lot of people. You know, when you combine wisdom, I don't think that there's any problem that is insurmountable that we can't find, you know, if not a solution, then there's going to be multiple avenues for you to try out, to find a way to start to feel good about who you are. And I'm sure that you found over that probably 4-year journey now that you've been on your own, you're getting to that point where it's like, I really kind of dig this guy, and I like his company, and I think he's kind of cool to hang out with. And, you know, and from you finding yourself, it's enabled you to share your light, and for me to be able to recognize that light within you. And then it's also reflected back to me, and me going, you know what, if he can do it, I reckon I can do it. If he can write a book, I reckon I can write a book. Or, you know, like
if you can run a 5K in like less than 25 minutes.
Well, I'm getting there. I'm still about 7 minutes off. So I've got some time to make up. But look, I think today we've taken a dip in the ocean a little on discovering my gorgeous friend, and there's going to be more revealed as we go along, but it's always a pleasure to catch up with you and to discover a little bit more about who you are and what makes you tick. And if people have questions that they would like answered, or if they have a topic or something that they would like to have discussed over the coming episodes, then we're in this for the long haul, you know, because I like his company. He's good to hang out with, and he keeps me fairly grounded, let's say. You know, I'm not off there with my angel wings wanting to fly off into the never. So please share your thoughts and your feelings with us, and come along for the ride. Bring your cup of tea, bring your glass of wine, take your shoes off and kick back and just hang out with us for, you know, 40+ minutes every week, or throw us on whilst you're driving your car and have a laugh and have a bit of a giggle with us, because that's what it's all about. It's about bringing a little joy and fun.
And just take some time after listening as well. Take some time, share your thoughts, like in terms, reflect on what you heard, and just share it with us if you feel safe, or you can, like Tina said, like DM us. But thank you so much, Tina, for giving the space today. Just to.
It's always a pleasure to know more about you, my friend. You know, we're discovering this, peeling back the layers is always a little bit of fun, but it also brings a deeper level of awareness, I think, that we can bring into our friendship and our conversations about everything. And really, let's face it, nothing's off limits. So, you know, bring it on, ladies and gents, because we would love to hear from you. So,
well, thank you everyone for tuning in and listening every single week now. So we are looking forward to hear your comments and to hear more from you. because in the coming weeks we'll talk more about the divine masculine and feminine energy as well, how we can balance it. And if you have, like Tina said, if you have any topic that you're thinking of, maybe we can just sneak it into our program, in our content, and just share our knowledge and wisdom on it. Yeah, thank you.
You are more than welcome. So go off, have some fun, have a great day, and we will catch up again next week, or in between time with our text chains. But anywho, until then, we will say au revoir, I think is correct.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. And we will talk next week.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good week, everyone. And
ciao for now.
see you next week. Take care.